Alright guys, we are back for another Dokkan battle video. I had a great video idea suggested to me. Right now, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, he just has so much aura, so much swagger, and he's drawing people. That's why, again, this title, that's my best title. Best thumbnail title combo I've ever done. I'm going to go back to that one a lot. The King of Aura, okay? A lot of people are interested in returning now. I had this great recommendation from Troco to just kind of bring people back up to speed if they haven't been around for a while. You guys know me. I'm the yapaholic. The thing about this type of video is this legitimately, like, if I took off all my weighted, like, my weights, like Rock Lee, this is going 2.5 hours, right? I'm going to super condense it. I'm just going to mostly focus on the major characters here, the releases, the major events, and then we can discuss Dokkan Day as well. I think Dokkan Day is a major thing. We'll discuss Dokkan Day, I guess, and the Seriously Serious battle at the same time. So let's get to it. The only EZA characters I'm going to talk about here are just these guys, because keep in mind, this looks like this is now a pattern. So we are in full expectation of this. The only unfumbleable EZA characters right now are the Anniversary Dokkan Fest exclusives. Are the only characters who just are like unfumbleable. Not gonna happen. And these guys completely dominate the entire game, right? And you go back to me talking a year and a half ago, and I was telling y'all this is exactly what's gonna happen, right? And the 8th Anniversary LRs next year are going to be dominating the game all year, just like it's happening this year with these guys, right? Those characters are golden gooses for Dokkan, and they do not let them down. All right, so 2025 Dokkan has been interesting, right? So the concept of this video is like, information, before you return to, for Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, or something along those lines, right? So I have the main 10th Anniversary LR characters pulled up right here. The 6 LRs. There was 6 summonable LRs. We have the 2 Dokkan Festival exclusives, which was the Fusing Tech Vegito and the Fusing AGL Gogeta, right? These characters ran the game. In all the difficult content for the game over the last 6 months, these guys dominated the game. The game, through the first half of 2025, has been a meta built around long fights and building your characters up, stacking your characters' stats up, turns passing by so you could transform into stronger forms. Just longer fights has been the real point of this year. Now, recently, in this exact celebration, and some of the content from this current Global Dokkan celebration, we maybe are moving away from that back to needing to be good turn 1. So understand that about all the units from the start of this year. Most of the characters from the start of this year are not as effective as people would probably like them to be in this, which is the hardest event in the game, because the characters for the last 6 months were designed for this long content, and now Dokkan is bringing us back to short content, right? And especially, we know, because Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, he's just Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, turn 1, right? You don't have to transform, you don't have to do nothing like that. He just is ready to go for these fights that are difficult right away. So these guys were, 2 of the best units all year. AGL Super Saiyan 4 Goku transforms. Another great character. This guy can function well in the short, difficult content because he is a heavy dodging character early on. And then once you transform with his Rage Mode into Super Saiyan 4 form, he's going to link incredibly well. He's going to be a huge support for Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, by the way. And then he is a major stacking character. So this guy is good in almost all content. Evolution Blue Vegeta is one of the more disappointing characters of this year. I would say it's mostly just he's very boring. He does not have an active skill. He is, as far as I'm aware, the only premium unit to not have an active skill or a standby pretty much in years. You have to go back years and years and years for a character that does not have an active skill, and it does hurt him, by the way. The move where he turns his aura in like that when he's fighting God Topo, had he had that as an active skill attack, it could have potentially helped him out defensively against tough boss mechanics, which are this guy's weakness. This guy can perform good, but I mean, there's quite a lot of RNG. You need to get a lot of orbs, and then he has only a 30% chance to super. So what'll happen is you'll super once, you'll do 4 normals and 2 more supers or something, and it's just not really going to feel too good. Hasn't really been, I mean, what I've seen, a major player for most players. Super Saiyan 2 Gohan was a strong character. He was a design choice that I do like, which is that he did not have a ridiculously high ceiling, like, oh, if you fulfill these multiple conditions, he's God. But he also did not have this super low floor that many characters have. Many characters can just get caught with their ass out and instantly obliterated. Gohan was just kind of like very consistent the whole way through, but not overly explosive good, but not overly explosive bad either. That is gonna, I think, about reach its limits right now in, this new very, very difficult event right here. Because, I mean, this is, now you need to be, higher limits than what Gohan has. But he was a nice, consistent, overhated option, I think, for the majority of the year. Goku and Frieza, they're an interesting unit. This Frieza has one of the worst designs of a character I have ever seen ever. But then the Goku is very good, right? So, I mean, this is, now that we're moving to, things getting tricky early on, that bodes really bad for this Frieza, who is absolutely god-awful. Truly, this character is truly terrible. So, we'll see how effective this unit is going to be. If the fights are longer, once you swap into Goku on turn 4, this guy can be very effective. And then, of course, these guys run the game. Now, we did have a lot of difficult content. 10th anniversary had the most content ever. Every single celebration that ever comes out, people say there's nothing to do and there's no content, even though there usually is massive amounts of content, right? I think if your argument is that Dokkan has never done good content in any celebration ever, there's never been a lot of celebration in any celebration ever. If that's your argument, then, you can be consistent on that. But if you've ever thought any celebration in Dokkan history ever had good content or a suitable amount of content, but this doesn't, then you're wrong. And same goes for, so far, Global Dokkan Celebration. This year, they've never released as many stages, as much content, as much missions as they have this year. This is a red zone right here, the Goku Story red zone, designed around long fights, right? There are quite a few missions towards the end. We have missions at the very end against the Blue Vegeta fight. This is kind of a real throwaway. He builds up. He does have ridiculous HP. 1.2 billion HP. Takes a long time to crack him. But he is not, like, overly oppressive. He doesn't have crazy boss mechanics or anything like that. Nothing really too scary about him. This Jiren fight is pretty tricky. The first 3 phases are complete throwaways. Again, the whole year is, about building up characters. But then towards the end here, Jiren is pretty tricky. Jiren has the very nasty combo of locking plus AoEs, which is something Dokkan likes to do. Tech Vegito was so dominant, so overpowered, so powerful that they keep releasing int character bosses that lock and have AoEs to counter Tech Vegito because he's so broken. So that's the point there. And then this Jiren dodge cancels. For the start of this year, Dokkan was pushing a lot of dodge canceling fights, but as they go back to shorter content, that will likely go away as well. So those are kind of like the major fights there. Several of these other fights are certainly challenging fights. They're not really mission fights, though. Mission fights, of course, are, fights that literally do have missions. Although I think that the Golden Frieza one does. But there's, of course, many missions. Yeah, so, like, here's the Buu Saga stage, Beat with the Buu Saga team, right? But we covered the very difficult stages there. There was also a companion Vegeta story, Red Zone as well. Again, a lot of missions for the Blue Vegeta fight. There are some, of course, for the Jiren fight as well. And then there are some for some of the earlier fights. Same thing. The last 2 fights are kind of like the main, like kind of like big fights here. Same structure. The first 3 phases are nothing really crazy. But then God Topo and this Jiren right here are very challenging bosses with nasty mechanics, right? Topo being a locking boss. Topo building up ridiculous amounts of damage, right? Getting stronger with each unarmed super, getting damage right here. He can be very crazy. And then Jiren at the end with a very powerful 5.7 million super attack. And he, of course, does dodge cancel as well, which definitely can be a little bit challenging. And then, of course, there's also this Blue Goku fight, who is triple times as hard as the Blue Vegeta fight. This guy disables dodge, right? And he is double supering every turn. So it's a very nasty combo that this Blue Goku has. Disabling dodge and then double supering. And he builds up to, 5-ish million supers, somewhere in that range. This Blue Goku could be a challenging fight. Especially because he starts out a little bit scary with dodge canceling turn 1. So this was a good showcase fight all year. Because, Blue Goku kind of, he would lock you in there. You can't dodge. You can't, escape his double supers. Was a pretty challenging fight. But now I think we're going to start getting characters that will dominate that. So there's that. We had the Battle Hard and Formidable Foes. This is kind of like the spiritual successor of Super Battle Road. A lot of these fights are quite challenging. The bosses do have various different gimmicks, right? That's one thing I think that's really good about this, is that, all these bosses actually have different gimmicks, right? Different things that make them sort of challenging bosses. The design of these fights is very good. It was a very fun time going through the Battle Hard and Formidable Foes fights. There are some missions on some of them. The final 2 stages are definitely the most difficult, because you end with a Broly who is a disastrous boss who has an AoE. Now, as far as I know, it's just complete RNG, like a coin flip. I don't know if it's actually a 50-50, but it's just a chance that he either uses the AoE or he uses an attack that hits much harder but is not an AoE. If he busts out that AoE, it is going to be difficult to live. And then the same thing here with this Cell Max. This Cell Max and his AoE, it's very challenging. This is a Super Battle Road type fight, though. So, in Phase 1, you are able to stun these bosses. So you could stun them, gain a foothold, and then maybe try and get to, turn 4, use, AGL Gogeta's Veku active skill or something like that. To potentially gain a foothold in that fight. There was the 10th anniversary battle event. This has previously been in the game since the 8th anniversary, I believe is when they first did this. This has been updated constantly. But now they completely revamped the event and they made it to where all anniversary characters, even the Part 2 Carnival LR characters from the, 8th anniversary and the Yellow Kind LR characters from, the 4th anniversary, 5th anniversary, 6th anniversary, and 7th anniversary. Those types of characters now get equips as well. There are difficult missions all throughout this event, right? Using Saiyan Saga, Corroded Body and Mind, right? The successor category, right? All types, super bosses, superheroes, all types of missions for all these stages. And this all gives you specific exclusive equips just for the various anniversary characters. Most of these equips are incredibly good, incredibly value, and are definitely worth using on any of your anniversary characters. This is a great event, and the rewards massively buff any of the anniversary characters, which is good. We have this right here, the Dokkan Chronicles. I did bring this up. This really wasn't the craziest, but you did have to use characters only from kind of that release year to go through these various stages. I mean, I guess, again, it's not really something I can mention too much. And the event, I believe, did it go away? It's not still up, right? The event might have gone away, but yeah, I mean, this was one of the big content things for that. All right, so now leaving the 10th anniversary, Daima Mini Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. I mean, he was, to me, one of the most disappointing characters of the year. The 10th anniversary, I thought, was elite in so many different ways. After we left the 10th anniversary, it's been very hit or miss, I think. Daima Vegeta, to me, is a miss. I think that his design, it just does not lead very well. Now, recently, they did drop a banner, which I believe is not available anymore, which would allow you to summon on it and then get equips exclusive to certain characters. And the raw defense could help this guy quite a bit. But overall, I would say that Daimo Vegeta was a very disappointing character. Along with his celebration came the Festival Battles, one of the hardest fights in Dokkan history. The fight is so challenging that stone rewards, which is the major thing players care about, only go until phase 25, and the fight actually goes on for 50 phases. This is the longest fight in Dokkan history. This fight will take multiple hours to complete. I guess I probably should have just pulled up maybe like my, some of my initial runs here. Let's just go to the Festival Battles playlist right here that we got, and just scroll all the way down and take a look. So my first successful run, I think, was 2 hours 55 minutes. My first no item run ended up being 3 hours and 2 minutes. So it did take quite a while kind of going through this fight, right? A very difficult fight. Most players in the community do not like it. They violently are aggressive about hating it because of how long it takes. I can certainly understand what people mean, like their point of it taking too long. But I would also counter that this is also a passive phone game where you could play a little bit and then turn the game off and like go about your life and then go back later. It's not, you don't have to sit down tournament grand finals and sit there for 3 consecutive hours. You could do a run that you just piece together a little bit over time. That was only one thing about it that was very odd to me, right? But you get towards the end and the fight is incredibly difficult. The reason this fight is so hard is it institutes something, charge counts, to where you only have a few turns to beat these bosses before you get a game over. And it becomes very challenging because you have 3 turns to get rid of these two who have a combined 1.6 billion HP. But then you have 4 turns to beat Gogeta, who has 2 billion HP, and 4 turns to beat Vegeta, who has 2 billion HP. But it's just a lot to deal with. Festival Battles is, again, one of the hardest fights in Dokkan history, without question. All right, next, Saiyan Day. Saiyan Day, historically, is where we have gotten ridiculously elite characters. This year did not fail that whatsoever. This Kid Goku carried no hype whatsoever. People mostly do not care about him at all, but he is great. He's one of the best units in the game, right? This Kid Goku is very, very elite. He does lead a great category, Earthbred Fighters, but most of the strongest characters on the category are not getting the buffs you would want from this Kid Goku, right? Dokkan this year, another thing they did do is they upped leader skills. If you're under the full conditions of a leader skill, you'll be up to 220% stats. But, for these Dokkan Fest leaders, if you're only on, one of their first categories, but not the extra stats one, you're only on a 170% leader skill. So even though Kid Goku can run many of the best characters in the game, he's running them in a kind of like a weaker version because they're only getting a double 170% of stats rather than double 220% of stats. But this is another character designed for very long fights, right? He's a stacking character designed for very long fights who can absolutely crush long fights. A red zone released with him that was updated again in a more recent celebration. The Dragon Ball Saga red zone, which kind of, does the initial... remember, it says Dragon Ball Saga, but it's meant to be the boyhood saga. It's just stuff taking place when Goku is a kid. Originally ended with Demon King Piccolo. Then they added, this is a filler fight, like literally from an anime filler episode against Shula right there. And then they added a fight against Great Ape Kid Goku as well. There are many missions in this event. This entire event I thought was really quite easy. None of these bosses are really too challenging. I mean, you could see some of the numbers right here just are not really that high. These bosses just aren't really that challenging. This is a very easy event, I think, to clear if you have just like good or recent characters. I don't think it'll really be too challenging to take down the Dragon Ball Saga Red Zone. Then moving on to, in between I don't talk about many free-to-play characters, stuff like that in this video, but I did want to point out this guy, this quest mode, Super Saiyan Bardock, who is very fun, right? He does kind of have like an intro and stuff like that. It is voiced. You're able to get this guy just with, I think it's green incredible gems. You're able to pick up the medals and pick up the copies for him. So just like a fun little unit. He's pretty good, and he also is a stacker for long fights. And this is how Dokkan is going to flip things upside down. For months and months and months, most of these characters are long fight stackers, and then now they're going to bring us back where you need to be good right away, right? Classic trick. Moving into April Fool's Day, I mean, the April Fool's Day celebration was one of the best. There was a whole big thing where Cell kind of like took over the game, and there was like a little bit of like a scavenger hunt, and then you would kind of like, do the correct things, fight Cell. Like, it was a fun little April Fool's Day thing. A fun little April Fool's Day celebration. Cell himself, I think Cell's pretty good. Although now bosses are, like, this guy was a very strong defensive character, but you do have to jump through a lot of hoops, right? You have to have him specifically revive, because unfortunately, he has a buff where only he himself revives, which is crucial. So he must revive, and he gets significantly stronger. His revive is only himself, so he himself does have to get killed. He has to do 5 attacks to build up his defense right there, and then you pop his active skill, and he gets massive stat buffs as well. Do all that, and Cell can be pretty good defensively, although, again, now bosses are kind of able to give him a little bit of the business. He's good, but the problem is his team, you have to run 2 cells, but you can only get 1 cell their buff. So it's just not very fun using him. Worldwide Chaos, one of his major teams, has recently gotten a lot of buffs. I haven't had a chance to use his team too much, but Cell, I mean, he was a good character who now I feel like is maybe not going to be as good moving forward. We'll see. Part 2 LR Pycon. Pycon was strong. I think Pycon probably is a character who will be able to be used pretty effectively in the current meta. Cell and Pycon, neither of them were stacking characters, Cell or Pycon. So, like, they could be good for some of those red zone fights I talked about, but to run them in, like, the super long, super hardest fight ever festival battles, they didn't really stack up to get very, very crazy to do that. Pycon is pretty good, but, I mean, he's not, like, he's just pretty good. Like, he'll hit kind of hard. He's got, 80% dodge. There's not a ton to talk about. He's just kind of like a pretty boring but strong character. Like, he's just kind of like strong. Like, it's similar-ish to how I could talk about the physical Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, where he's just kind of like good, but like there's not really a lot of like, oh my god, he does this so crazily good, or oh my god, he sucks ass so bad at this. He doesn't have like either of those. He's just kind of like good. But that also creates a boring unit that people don't really talk about much, right? So there is that. One thing Pycon did do, however, he also introduced a new type of leader skill right here. Yellow coin LRs now kind of have some of the best leader skills in the game, because I talked about the negative portion of, you get your buff from these right here, but it's only 170. And, I mean, then the extra categories get a huge 50% buff. So if you're not on one of the extra categories, you're only on a 170% buff, which is just, it's very low, right? So, you really would want to be on like a 220% or at least a 200 as much as you can. Well, now Yellow Coin LRs have 2 categories, 200%, which is pretty good. Then we moved into Golden Week. Golden Week really was seemingly the weakest feeling Golden Week in quite some time. I just really was not too impressed by this Golden Week celebration. Hit is a great character. Hit can perform very well in the short, difficult content because he's a dodge character. And then he can also be really good in the long, difficult fights because he is a stacking character as well. Hit also transforms, and Hit has a Ghost Usher turn. Hit just has a lot to love. Hit is a true like successor to the greatness of Golden Week TUR characters. This guy is ass, Blue Kaioken. The way they designed him is horrible. One of the biggest problems with him, he loses 5% HP when he supers. In a vacuum, losing 5% HP, like, not the biggest deal. Except the piece of shit rat bastard supers 3 times per turn and often 4 times per turn. So you're not losing 5%. You're losing 15% and 20%. And then very quickly, he's damaging you more than the boss is damaging you. It's just very frustrating. He has a very specific revive where you go into his standby and then he revives and he does a massive counter when he revives. But I've just found the whole point of him to really not be that good, and I just don't look very favorably at this character at all. This feels like a pretty ass character. He would not be within my top 10 best TURs. He would not be within my top 15 best TURs. He might not even be within my top 20 best TURs. And he does not stack as well, not great for the long fights. He's a major disappointment. Now, one of the best things that happened right around this time with Golden Week, we did introduce Seriously Serious all-out battles as well as Dokkan Day, which this is 2 things that kind of go hand in hand simultaneously together. So, what happens with Dokkan Day? Dokkan Day is it's the 15th and the 30th of every month, Dokkan Day. When Dokkan Day is up, they drop this specific event. I want to actually show it right here. This time chamber event is up during just for that day, and you can essentially train in the time chamber with incredibly high rates for link levels. So it's really good. And there's a series of missions that you're able to do. I showed them right at the, I always make sure to show them and stuff like that at the start of the video. Makes it a lot easier, I guess, to go back for videos like this. But, you know, you have these missions you could do. These missions give you tickets. These tickets are for the new characters, right? Like these Dokkan Day missions right here. These tickets gave us tickets to summon for the LR Kalen Khalifa character who was coming out, right? This is the part 2 LR for the Golden Week celebration. So, you know, every one of these Dokkan Days. Now, for major celebrations, which we're in right now, the Global Dokkan Celebration where Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is going to drop, they don't actually drop tickets. So that's, you know, something that's a little bit of a bummer. Let me just quickly show this. But there's alternative ways to get tickets and stuff like that. So it's not like really the biggest deal. Yeah, here we go right here. Here is the actual missions to clear the time chamber event, clear the daily Master Roshi, like stage, growth stage, just clear 3 stages, increase 1 character's SA once, and complete all missions. Boom. And you get some nice resources. Now, Seriously Serious battles. This is an event that drops. It's got a bunch of these missions. Oh, actually, really, you know what I need to pull up is actually my EX mission playlist is what we got to pull up right here. That is this right here. So, with every Seriously Serious battle, so we've had 3 so far, the Blue Goku, the Kid Goku, and Trunks. You would be able to get tickets for the banner from the Seriously Serious battle, right? So if we just take a look at this Kid Goku right here, and then we do this, and you just beat it once, and you get tickets for the character. So, like, you would beat this, and you would get tickets for... Wait, wasn't he... Oh, I didn't pull him up? Oh, whoops, hold on. Yeah, for those, you'd get tickets specifically to summon for the Dokkan Fest at that time, which was Mercenary Tao, right? So the combination of Dokkan Day, you know, these EX missions, and the Seriously Serious All-Out Battles event, I think is a masterclass by Dokkan. Something they should continue doing. It is very fun. You know, Dokkan, because link leveling is something people don't like, where, you know, it just takes so much grinding to level these characters up, and your characters do get a huge power buff, a huge tangible power buff to be more effective, stronger characters overall. So people, you know, don't like the process that it takes and how slow it can be. Well, Dokkan Day, the link level stage is crazy. You'll get characters done. If you just sit there, I mean, Dokkan is not a game where you have to hold right in front of your face, both hands on it. I'm playing finals, man. If I lose, oh my God, like it's $1 million money match. Like, dude, it's like the point. It's a casual game, okay? You start a stage up, you're watching TV, you're watching a movie, you're playing Call of Duty, you're playing League of Legends, you're doing whatever, you're eating a meal. It is very easy to just do a stage while doing something else. It is the point of the game. It's like a turn-based RPG. It is so easy to just pop it open, do whatever, and then, go back. I think so many people in this community specifically completely have lost sight of that. And Iron Cane as well, right? Okay, so there's that. So we talk about Hit, who's awesome, incredible, fantastic, amazing, stupendous. Blue Kaioken, kind of sucks. LR, Kale, and Khalifa are good, but they are a little quirky in how they function, right? Like Khalifa, the very first attack she takes in the turn, she has a 100% dodge no matter what for the very first attack. But then after that, all bets are off. She can be punished pretty badly by tough bosses. Overall, the Golden Week celebration felt very much like a gigantic miss, though, overall. It did not really seem to be an exceptional celebration. Then the Tao celebration came. Dokkan Fest Tao. Dokkan Fest Tao is one of the strongest TURs in the game right now. I do plan on doing an updated TUR list. Tao will be right near the top. 1, 2, or 3 for sure. This guy is just a lot to love, not a lot to not like. He is not a stacking character. So he's not going to be good for, festival battles. He's still good in the red zone stages, which are long, but not that long, right? Tao will be able to get the job done in there. So there's that. Kale and Khalifa, of course, are not a stacking character either, right? And then part 2 was LR Tien from the 22nd World Tournament, OG Dragon Ball character. Tien is very good. Every once in a while, he can get caught pretty massively, especially in locking fights. Really can be a weakness for him, but I mean, it's all RNG. He could just dodge a lot of the times. Tien is very, very good. The celebration overall, it was good. There was a lot of content. I think overall the celebration was good, but I've never seen less interest in Dokkan ever than when Dokkan dropped Mercenary Tao and Tien from OG Dragon Ball. I've never seen less interest in the game ever. Now, it would be silly not to bring up maybe one of the worst events I think possible that they ever could have done. So this was a very unfun event. Hopefully, I would imagine that the overwhelming negativity surrounding the event and the overall unanimous opinion that it was terrible by players means that Dokkan will never return this, so maybe there's even no point in talking about this. But this was an event where you basically... essentially you just needed 100% perfect RNG with rotations. So what this event became is you would jump into the event, you would look at your rotations. If it was not lined up perfectly to do like a major amount of damage, then you would just instantly reset. And you would do this over and over and over and over and over. You just continuously are resetting until you got the perfect rotation so that you can actually like accomplish it. It was just really unfun, right? See, looked at the rotation, wasn't perfect, time to reset. Hopefully Dokkan understands that no one liked this, no one wants this, and I think that there is a very reasonable chance we never see this again. This certainly is a huge black mark on the Tao and Tien celebration. Again, I would argue that the celebration overall, take Million Arena out of it, out of it for the sake of discussion, and take like the hype factor or interest factor that they sapped from the game, which is true, they did. Tao and Tien killed the game. The celebration itself I thought was very good for what it was, which is like an in-between month, kind of like filler month celebration. But yeah, no one gave two fucks about these characters, right? Like, completely killed the game. Now we're in the current celebration, these are some of the best characters in the game. I do have a tier list, LR tier list that I could pull up. This is my recent feelings. This is pretty much the same. The only thing I would really be interested in here, I feel comfortable with this. The only thing though is this character. I could definitely move him up, and like you could have real talks that this character, like across every fight in the game, might be the most consistent, and especially with, you know, the new Carnival Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta dropping, they might just be too good to ignore, and like, you know, maybe a top 1, 2, 3 unit in the game or something. I don't know. Could be very crazy, this Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, right? Like they seem just very, very, very impressive. So there we go. That's kind of like a recapping of the year. I mean, the one thing I didn't really talk about so much was a lot of the EZAs. I mean, I guess like we could maybe just briefly here at the end of this video just discuss like which EZAs could be very good, which ones maybe are not quite as good, is kind of like the last thing that we could kind of do in this video. So I guess I'll just pull up the various major EZA characters is what I'm going to do here. And I could just give a real quick take on, like, you know, are they really good or are they not so good? Or, you know, just generally something like that. Yeah, Patapara Kid Goku, these three right here. And then now we get into the 10th anniversary. These two, I mean, we just showed they're amongst, they're top 5 in the game level, these guys. No reason to even discuss them. They're just cold-blooded top 5 in the game level. These guys, bam, 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 bam. There we go. That's all of them. Super EZAs definitely do count. Fusion Zamasu is a nice, strong character for the Super Bosses team and the LR Goku Black and Zamasu team. He's good. His weaknesses can be potentially AoE attacks or locking, but I mean, honestly, those abilities are a weakness to almost every single character. This guy's Super EZA can be very good. He has a build-up damage reduction mechanic in the turn. If the first hit he takes in the turn is a very powerful super attack, it could be death for him. But like if he's hit a couple of times, he could be very good. He's a nice support type character. Physical Vegito Blue is a ridiculous character. He's rainbow orb changing and potentially 2-turn supporting. And he could do massive, obscene amounts of damage. I think that this guy is just an incredible character for fusion-type teams. Yamcha is really, really crazy. The way they designed him completely around dodge, if you can dodge in a fight, Yamcha's one of the best characters in the game. Hard stop. That's it. If you could dodge, he's one of the best characters in the game. Like, he is running at 100%, 90%, and 80% dodge almost at all times. You know, good for some of these Earthbred fighter type teams, Earthling teams, stuff like that. Right now, we're coming back to dodge content being relevant, so Yamcha is a god. He's just a cold-blooded god. Ginyu is just a very underwhelming, bad EZA. You know, he needs Ginyu Force characters, and, you know, there's really only a couple of crap, like, he's just a worthless, complete fumble L of a character, unfortunately, right? Tech Hefla is a very busted EZA. They're a stacking character, very good for long fights. In short fights, they can have 70% dodge or 90% dodge, so they can just genuinely be very effective. Hidden God Goku is a strong character. They've got some quirkiness to them, but I would argue they overall are a strong character with damage reduction, dodge, and, you know, additional attacks and abilities all over the place. Not a stacking character, though. We have Blue Kaioken. I mean, this guy, I think, is a pretty solid support. A lot of RNG with him, right? As you guys could see, based upon how much HP he has when he attacks and when he's hit, can make a huge factor into how effective he is. He does also have this bad mechanic as well. He's good. Good, but he could be good or bad, right? High ceiling, high floor, or low floor type character. Paikon is really just quite good. Dodging support type character who has a turn for Ghost Usher. Just flatly a good character. Again, maybe a little boring, but he's good. Janemba is powerful. I think if you can dodge, this Tech Super Janemba is really, really good. I think he hasn't really had potentially like a super elite setup for him, though. So we'll see how good he might be. I'm saying he's good, and he has the potential to be much better with a better team. AGL Cell, I just don't like. I think first and second, this guy transforms every turn. First and second form Cell, pretty underwhelming. Perfect Cell is good, but only for the first 3 turns while he has his guard. His first 3 turns with the guard, he has a lot of crit, a lot of damage reduction, a lot of dodge, and he's guarding. He's crazy. But then that wears off, and he's not really as effective. He can be very, very elite in some of the red zone fights that specifically start out weak, get strong, but they don't last until turn, 50, like the Festival of Battles. This guy does not stack. He's designed specifically for the red zones, where he'll be at peak performance when you're in the difficult parts of the fight, which is, while he's got this up. Same thing with the Goku and Gohan. Goku could stack attack, which is good, and he's a dodging character. This Gohan specifically is the fumble of the unit. This Gohan, once you have all of this up, he is actually so broken. It's unbelievable. But you have such a small window of it. And once this is gone, right here, it's just Jover for him. It's done. He does not have enough defense or enough damage reduction to really be able to cut it against the hardest bosses in the game, which is what this Gohan really should be able to do. I don't, maybe tone this down a little bit and then remove this right here. I don't know, but I do not like the AGL Perfect Cell or this Goku and Gohan character. Path to Power Kid Goku is an outstanding support type character. If you have him in slot 3, he's giving you nice 2-turn support, strong crit and damage reduction support just for 5 orbs, and he creates these own orbs. He's just a great character to be running. These guys are mega good. They're creating a lot of orbs. They do good damage. They have good defenses. They're great at power characters, and they're designed to be running those teams or GT Hero teams. So with Carnival Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is going to bring these guys back in a major way. They will be outstanding next to Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. This guy is okay. He will absolutely decimate any older event like there is in the game. He will completely obliterate it. If you want to go into older content, this guy will decimate it. I think he's not quite as strong as people would like defensively. In some of these really tough fights, he doesn't stack or anything. But I would say he does give a lot of value in being invincible in all old fights, which is good. This guy's one of the worst characters of the year. Just a complete horrible EZA. This single line right here is one of the worst things we've ever seen on, what presumably could have been a top tier character. Just genuinely a terrible thing about him. This line kills him so bad. No defensive mechanics besides that. It's just a joke. He's a joke of a character. Great Ape Vegeta was very, very good all year. I feel like I've felt some of his limits. Some of these new bosses are starting to hit him a little too hard to survive, because it's like they hit you really hard and then they hit you really hard again and then you're dead, right? But who knows? He's a big Great Ape power character. Maybe he can be effective with all these Super Saiyan 4s. That's certainly possible right there. This Super Saiyan 2 Gohan is just a nice support and orb changer. Probably a little bit past this time, though. Cell is great, but it's conditional. If you're fighting a superclass enemy, and if the enemy can be debuffed as well with that right there, that is, that's really it. It's like, if the enemy is a superclass enemy and can be attack debuffed, he is just absolutely so crazy. Can be a little bit hit or miss, but he's a really good Super EZA. Full Power Frieza and Namek Goku are really good, underrated characters, I would argue. They came out before the meta and the dust had fully settled in the 10th anniversary. They are characters designed for the longest fights that there are. And, they came out before those fights. So people kind of were like, oh my god, they're not good for these current fights we have. Yeah, they're not very good. But they were designed for other fights. So, these guys are very good for those longer fights. Not really so good for short fights, right? And that goes for right now, too. They could still be effective in longer fights. But if it's a short one, where they're not able to really stack like crazy, they could be a little bit iffy. Frieza specifically really needs help. Has never really had a great villain team to be used on, so that's a little unfortunate there. At these Super EZAs, these guys are just a little bit past their prime. Gogeta would be a lot better if he was creating his own rainbow orbs. But the fact that he needs orbs but doesn't create orbs, and he needs orbs just like all the other fusions on the team he's on do, it makes him not a fun run in my experience. This guy dies just constantly. If any super attack comes near him, you instantly get a game over. Not a very fun character. Buhan is a ridiculously... Oh, yeah. Well, whoops. Not this guy. This guy's not falling off. Buhan is still ridiculously good. This guy is supremely powerful. Multiple orb changing. Huge attack stats. He's not as dominant as he was on release, but this guy is very, very good on a villain team still. I think he's still a nice run. He could do a lot of damage, a lot of crit, a lot of damage reduction, healing. Just a very, very strong character. Yeah, these other three right here, I'm a little sour on, but this guy's crazy. Maybe Janemba 2 could be a little bit better. All year, this guy is 100% built around dodge, and we've had metas of dodge not being that good all year, although now dodge kind of is back a little bit. So, I mean, if Janemba would have a good team, maybe this guy could be pretty solid. So there's all that. I guess the other thing I could talk about here, quickly, and then we'll probably end the video, is battle motions. So Dokkan, has been doing this thing where, with a lot of these data downloads, they will add motions, usually to new summonable characters, but even old characters in some data downloads are getting these battle motions. To me, this is one of the more fun aspects of the Dokkan 2 update, where characters have like these kind of like motions, right? Where they're doing these little things. Like, I don't know. Yeah, let's look at the blue Goku and Vegeta ones. These ones are really good. Some animations look super good. Some of them, of course, aren't really as good, right? Like, there's like the blue Vegeta one. Usually the Saiyan characters that have like a gigantic aura, right? Theirs obviously will look the best. So, yeah, like we can go ahead and take a look at this. Like, Blue Gogeta, of course, and Super Saiyan Gogeta have just, awesome, stunning battle motions. But most data downloads that come, that's just something that we're looking at. It's like, is this character going to bring a new battle motion into the game? It's always really exciting to see this. I think that look at that. That just adds so much flavor to the game, right? Characters just kind of, having gigantic auras and these gigantic abilities. I gotta show Super Saiyan 4 Gogetas. The new Carnival Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta might have that same battle motion right there. And then, of course, there's the double Super Saiyan Blues. Really, really, really fun stuff. But yeah, I am curious if Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is gonna have this same one, or if they'll give him a new one just for himself. We'll see. I would be okay with either. If they this one is so good, if they just keep it, I'm fine with it. But if they want to give him a unique battle motion, I think that also would be very, very good. So there we go. I feel like I kind of tried to recap a lot about, we talked about the meta fights, best stages to farm for gems and stuff like that. A lot of any of the recent quest mode stages, those are usually not tough to find. It's like 31-4. I do like the one of the most recent fights. I think it's like 38-7 is kind of like a good link level fight against that one cooler. So there we go. We talked about Dokkan Day, a lot of the different characters. Let me know what you guys think. If you're coming back for Gogeta, good luck. If you're summoning for Gogeta, good luck. If you love Gogeta, good luck. If you're an Omega Shenron fan, double good luck. Double good luck to Omega Shenron fans. And hopefully the double good luck goes, they respect Omega Shenron's kit. Gogeta's going to be great. Hopefully they get the memo that, okay, we need to make Omega Shenron great as well.